Welcome to the Live Your Possible podcast, the show about sparking and discovering endless possibilities where we work, live, and play. A safe place where we can help you peel back the cover to what may be blocking you from being your most authentic and happiest self.
The things we do for love. Some change careers, move across the country, or sacrifice a dream situation to be with the ones they love. Kristen Cusato is joining us today to share how her purpose changed in an instant when her best friend, her mom, was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. Kristen is now passing on her mom's legacy by educating and supporting families as the director of communications for the New England region at Alzheimer's Association Connecticut Chapter and is the New England Research Champion. Learn more about her journey, early signs to be on the lookout for Alzheimer's, and about the support available to you as a caregiver. Open your heart to family members that might need your help today and do the best you can to be there for them. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Kristen, to the Live Your Possible podcast. It's great to see you. How you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to dive in. It's great to see you. Hey, tell me a little bit about what are you passionate about these days?
Always passionate about helping caregivers with Alzheimer's. That's what I do. It's not just what I do, it's who I am, right? I had a mom who was diagnosed with dementia at the age of 61, and I just learned so much and then started working for the Alzheimer's Association. So just it's always that someone will call and say, hey, my friend has something's going on in their family. Can they talk to you? Or I run into somebody at a restaurant or talk to somebody about it at a mammogram. I'll talk about it anywhere. So that's really what I do and where the passion comes from. My mom and losing her, so young. Doing a podcast. I'm pretty excited about that as we talk on a podcast. It's really fun to delve in and find out information about people that you didn't know was, just these little nuggets that you keep uncovering with people. I love that. That's so fun. And I'm also a giant music fan.
And I'm sorry about the loss of your mom. And, I'd love to hear more about, what's going on with your story. Because it's like you have a podcast, right? Listening to other stories. It's amazing where we all come from and how we got to where we are today. And that's a lot about this podcast, is to understand, what are the things that have happened and what are you doing about it? And I'm curious, when did you get into this interest? I guess how long ago was that when your mom fell ill?
Yeah, so I was a journalist my entire career. And then I was actually on television in San Diego working at a TV station out there. And my mom started, she was living back here on the East Coast, and she started kind of having marbly mouth conversations and kind of saying some things over and over again. And she was really down. And I was hearing from relatives that she was falling a lot. And then I was hearing that she was leaving the garage door open all night or not able to come find her way back from a Rotary meeting and that she would go to every week. And so my relatives took her to some neurology appointments and some different things, and we've got a diagnosis of dementia at the age of 61. I learned later that if you are diagnosed below the age of 65, it's called younger onset, because most of the folks are diagnosed over the age of 65. So with that diagnosis, man, it was not even a heartbeat of a hesitation. I packed up 14 boxes, gave away all the furniture from my apartment, grabbed my bicycle and my cat, and moved back east to be with her. So that's when that whole thing started. And, caregiving is a bunch of different things. It's hard, it's ugly, it's painful. You find strength you didn't know you had. But it's also got some really beautiful moments, especially the moments, towards the end when you kind of connect with your person and their soul and who they are before they leave this earth, which it made me who I am now, Do
you mind sharing any of those moments that really touched you?
Yeah, no, of course. So my mom she was kind of quiet, but she was really powerful. She was really strong and graceful and was doing HR for an entire county, and she was president of that Rotary Club I was just mentioning. And she was my best friend. We were best friends, since I was born. She'd call me every year on my birthday, the exact time of my birth, and say, "Happy birthday. This is the time I met my best friend." And I said, "Yes, it is." So later on in the disease process, I think she just kind of stopped talking because nothing was making sense. So she'd say something, 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 203 tree. Oh, well, whatever. And just couldn't, come up with the rest of the sentence. And so eventually she just stopped talking altogether. And so that's tough. You're having these one-on-one conversations. You're having a one-sided conversation with someone who always was so interactive. And, I could always bring her any issue or problem or any chat that I needed to, and I'd bring it to her, and we'd always kind of work things out together. And so later on in the disease process, she hadn't spoken for quite a while. And I remember sitting with her. She was in the bed. She was in a facility, a memory care facility, which is a family choice. Some people choose not to, but that's what we chose because she kept falling and we wanted her to be around people versus just kind of being in our apartment or being in my house or something. And she was young, 62, you still need that interaction, So I remember sitting with her and we were watching that double duo of fantastic shows, which is Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And I remember watching Wheel of Fortune with her, and I think that there were maybe 2 letters or something, and then someone guessed the whole puzzle. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Mom, can you believe that? He guessed it in 2 letters." I said, "That's amazing." And she said, yes, it is. And I was like, oh, words, and tuned in, and just, obviously a million years later, I'm still telling that story because it was like that moment where, which just proved to me that she was always and is always in there. And the people who have this disease are always in there. Just try to keep connecting with them and just try to give them love and just keep giving that. And sometimes you'll get a little present like that.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
Your connection sounds so beautiful.
Yeah. I still feel her. I talked to a friend of mine who's a medium, and Mom and I talk about once a year. So I connect with her through this woman who's a medium, and it's just, again, some people don't believe it, but it's amazing. Have you ever done that, Darren?
No, I'm fascinated by it. Can you share a little bit how that works? And
yeah, it's not really, it's not like a person who kind of embodies, sometimes you'll see those things or those movies where people just go into the voice of the person. But this girl who I know has had this gift for a long time, and I just started connecting with her probably 5 years or so after my mom passed away. And we do it over Zoom. And she just looks at me, she's like, "All right, well, your mom's got a lot to say, and it's your mom who comes through." And then she just starts telling me things. Your mom says this, and she says this, she talks about this, and she talks, and I write as fast as I possibly can, all these things. And she's like, now she wants to talk about your brother. Now she wants to talk about your work. And it's just so cool. And then whoever comes through, comes through. I mean, it's always Mom for me. But a couple of years ago, a friend of mine lost her husband after cancer diagnosis, and they were like one human. They've been together for like 50 something years, and he actually came through and told me some things to share with his wife, and I did, and I was like, this whole thing just blows my mind. But it's just it makes me feel at peace, knowing that Mom is like she's definitely with me all the time, and it's like this beautiful spirit and presence that I feel all the time. It's really cool.
I'm in awe by that. I think it's beautiful. It helps you. I imagine it helps you stay grounded, right? There's something out there, and she's there. She's part of it. She's part of this.
Always with me. Yeah, when you're not sure what that for sure tells me that she is, because she'll say this and this happened. I'm like, yes, Mom. Yes, you were there.
That's gotta warm your heart.
It's so cool.
That's cool. How does somebody find someone that could connect them to a lost one?
You could literally look them up. You could just look up medium. There's those TV shows and stuff, but there's people who have websites and such, and then you could, look on I think everyone pretty much should have testimonials.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so helps me connect with this, or so-and-so helps me connect with that. And it's just so cool. And it was so cool actually trying to find, I actually did not a mini podcast, but kind of I called it Conversations with Cusato during COVID when we were all stuck in our homes. And on Instagram, I would do these Instagram lives with a bunch of my friends, different friends, because I have such cool, interesting friends. And she was one of them. And we were talking. And I was like, how did you find out, that you had this? And she said she felt it for a while, but she wasn't sure what it was. And then she knew it, but she couldn't say it to anyone. So she'd say, hey, I had a dream about your dad. It wasn't really a dream. Actually, the dad came to her and told her something. And yeah, so it's just amazing.
Yeah, I believe. I think it's possible, and it's amazing. It's incredible. And I talk with folks that see signs, and reminds them of a lost loved one. It could be a red cardinal, because it's very spiritual to many. Some people find pennies or feathers, right? Just different things. Like we've talked in the past about pareidolias, right? These are forms of objects we see that have meaning to us as individuals, which gives us such peace, gives us a space where we could actually just be, right? And just kind of feel spiritual and connected to our hearts and minds, and just let that transcendence be.
Which is so hard to do because we're in this society where everything is just so every second, right? Everyone has such short attention spans, me included. And sometimes I wish I could just throw the phone in the sea, but we need it to connect with other humans as well. So
absolutely. All about connection like you have. How did you get up to speed about the disease, and how did you get comfortable with it to the point where now you're really a voice?
Yeah, I'm actually communications director for Connecticut and Rhode Island, the chapters of Alzheimer's Association. And I'm at this cool part of my job called research champion. And what I do, and about 30 or so other people across the country from other chapters, because we're under the national umbrella of the Alzheimer's Association, and there are a number of chapters, in every state. And a research champion, we're schooled, we learn all the things that we're funding, and we learn about what direction we're going in, and we learn what's happening with the new medications, and we just learn all this great stuff. And then we connect with our local researchers who are funded, and then I go and share them out to, goodness, I've done this presentation about what's happening locally in research to colleges, to donors, to different committees that we have, to schools, to Rotary clubs, like I was just talking about. So it's just an opportunity to kind of share what's going on, because now that we have all these new things, and there's not only research into medications, which we finally have, that actually changed the course of the disease versus just symptomatic. We are talking about lifestyle interventions and exercise studies, and studies about too much processed foods, and studies about sleep, and all of these things that we weren't really talking about, brain health. And that's really critical, I think, now, because there are so many of us who have had parents who have this disease, and some of us are probably pretty worried about ourselves. Like, what can we do to reduce our risk? And there are things now. So that's really exciting. So anyway, I love that part of my job, talking about research and chatting with everyone. And I just, we're in this constant learning mode about what's going on. And it's just really important to raise awareness. And I appreciate you letting me talk about this, because it's so critical for people to, I feel like when a family gets this diagnosis, it's almost like being hit with a Mack truck, Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. And so there are people there to help put you back together. So if you call the Alzheimer's Association, we can help you, and we can help put you back on that road and piece you together so you can start on the journey of this disease, however long your loved one lives. And we don't want people to do it alone, right? There's support groups and an 800 number, and classes you can take. And there's just so much available. You don't have to do it, in a silo.
Yeah, that's good. I guess where could they call? You mentioned that number.
Yeah, it's the Alzheimer's Association, thank you, 24/7 helpline. And it's 800-272-3900. And you can call it anytime, day or night. You can call and say, hey, we just got a diagnosis. Where do we start? Can I have an hour-long conversation with somebody? Yes. Or, hey, do you know of any doctor's offices in Newington? Yes. Or it's 2 a.m. and my mom is at the front door with her bag saying she wants to go home, yet she lives here. How do I distract her and make sure that she's feeling okay with this, but keep her in the house and keep her safe? So call that number with any question. It's great.
Thanks for sharing that. I guess when you think about the evolution and the journey, you've shared some concepts. Is there anything folks should be aware of in today's day and age that, hey, there are certain treatments available? I know you just mentioned a couple, but are there more specific details? Because I'm sure there are plenty of us out there listening that have parents or maybe worried, like you said, about ourselves, about what we're noticing about what's showing up for us.
I appreciate the opportunity. There's a couple of things I really think people need to know. Not everybody gets dementia. It is, it's a fatal brain disease, but not everyone gets this disease, in that it is really important to know the difference between normal aging and memory concerns that you should take to a doctor. I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about like complete changes in behavior. If you could make a pot of coffee and now you can't, and suddenly the coffee maker's broken, but it's just that you don't have the processing to make, it takes like 42 steps to make a pot of coffee with all the things you have to do. And because Alzheimer's is a processing disease, because things get in the brain that shouldn't be there, biomarkers, hallmarks of the disease like amyloid protein and tau, different things that change the way your brain works. So if you see a change in behavior, like no longer able to do this, or my mom was a to the penny checkbook person. Suddenly she had crossouts and math mistakes, and she was cutting up credit cards saying, I don't want to pay this anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's not how this goes. There's other ways we can cancel a credit card. Just cutting it and leaving it on the stairwell is not going to work, Mom. But she doesn't know, she's got this disease. So knowing the difference between the two, we have classes called Know the 10 Signs. So how do you know these? How do you know when to take those concerns to a doctor, what doctor to go to first, which is a general practitioner, because they will go through and do a blood workup to see if it's not something else. To throw a wrench into all of this, your memory concerns could be due to a B12 deficiency, or you've got some medication mix-up, or you're depressed. There's a lot of things that can be checked out to see if that's it. And then you go to probably an expert and a specialist to find out if you have a type of dementia. And as far as younger people or people who are worried about themselves, really doing those lifestyle interventions, we call them 10 healthy habits. And there's stuff that's pretty basic stuff. It's stuff that's good for the heart, which is also good for the brain. It's exercise, it's cognitive and social stimulation, it's learning something new, it's playing Wordle, but doing also other word games at the same time to change up and do strategy, and learning an instrument, getting sleep. Sleep is so critical. All these different things that you can do to try to reduce your own risk. And I think part of it is up to us to incorporate these things before any sort of symptoms come out.
I appreciate you sharing all that and really helping myself and our listeners be able to learn more, know where to go, really help ourselves, help our family members, people we know. And I love what you shared earlier about, like, your mom was present. She was there, just couldn't really communicate back in the way you were used to. And I think that's so important, because sometimes we don't know the effect we have on people or the effect that you had on her. Really moving away from San Diego and your career and changing your purpose, it seems like, to not only take care of her, but help others take care of the loved ones like you did. Like, what a way to set an example for everybody else. So it's amazing. I really appreciate that.
I feel like my mother, even though she couldn't talk, the woman who lost her voice, was able to give me license to use my voice to tell her story and to help others tell their stories, and to really, make sure the word is spread about the fact that you don't have to go through this journey alone.
Yeah, you're carrying her legacy on. And her voice is coming to you through someone else now, yet
it is.
You're carrying this voice on, and it's going to other families, and you're truly having this ripple effect. You might know that or not, yet it's a beautiful thing. You're leading the way, which again it's really something to think about, especially for folks that you get to this point where you have this life purpose, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, it changed. It seemed like your purpose had changed quite instantly.
So bizarre, because I literally was 40 years old. And I remember this. I was on my way to a shoot with my photographer in San Diego, and I'm driving along, and I'm talking to my brother back here on the East Coast. And I said, dude, and I'm not saying dude just because I was in California, but I say a lot. And I was like, dude, I'm 40. Like, what does this mean? What is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? And literally a couple months later, my mother's diagnosis comes flying into our lives, and that became my purpose. So careful what you ask for, careful what you wish for. But I was happy, I wasn't married. I didn't have children. I was able to, do that. Not everyone is able to drop their entire life and do that. But I was lucky. I was in the position that I could.
Yeah, you're accepting to it. And obviously you have your best friend, your connection with your mom that helped
Yes.
helped you get back here, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever go back in different ways to continue that work as far as being in the media or in communications? I know you've done a lot of different roles. I'm curious, how do you keep with that? Because you seem very good at it. I've talked with you in different venues in Connecticut, and you have such a way about you.
Thank you. You're very nice. Thank you. I still represent the Alzheimer's Association in a number of different places in media and such, and radio and newspaper and TV. And my job is also to get other people up to speed so that they can share their story in sound bites, the way media likes it. And I know because I used to be in media, right? So I kind of know how it's got to be short but sweet, but really important and poignant, right? It's got to be, those sound bites have to be really, important to share. And the media hits are usually only about 3.5 minutes long, so you don't have a lot of time. So I help get people ready for that. But we do that, and the podcast is very exciting, and doing some storytelling. I love storytelling. That's really fun. Kind of getting into telling some stories. I went to New York City and did a Moth Story Slam. Have you gone to the Moth?
I haven't. I've heard about it. Tell us more about that. Yeah.
It's super cool. Yeah. It's just this, it's more of a storytelling. It's less TED Talky, right? TED Talk is like, there's got to be some basic stuff. There's got to be some science. It's really an idea worth sharing. The moths are stories. You just go to a moth and you can put your name in a hat and see if they choose you to tell your story under 5 minutes about the topic at hand. So it's kind of cool to experiment with storytelling with the moth. There's a big moth event. I think it's sold out, but it's coming I think it's in the fall in New Haven. There are other shorter storytelling, like different storytelling things. There was one in Danbury. There was one in Westport. There are different ways to share your story. And, I'm still on the TEDx Hartford team. I'm on their team. I was coaching different speakers for quite a while. Brent Robertson being one of our mutual friend, Brent being one of them. And now I'm on the team for a little bit of coaching, but also kind of helping market and get the word out and stuff like that. So that's really fun.
Well, I guess in short, what kind of tips would you give folks about communication in general? And then if someone were, looking to create a story, is there a quick path, and can people hire you to actually get some ongoing support and advice?
Oh my gosh, look at you. Thank you. I would love to be a coach to help people tell their stories. Yeah. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. That'd be great. I think it's important to, and you know this, dear, because you're pretty authentic. You're authentic from minute one when you start talking to somebody. The eye contact is critical, and the, no BSing around. You're just who you are, and you're pretty honest. And I think that's really important when you come forward to meeting people in communication, and also to, asking a lot of questions. I have a friend who asks a lot of questions, and I used to ask a lot of questions as a reporter, and all my girlfriends and guy friends would be like, here's the new person I'm dating. And they're like, be careful. You're going to get the treatment from Kristen because she's going to run down every bit of your life. We'll see you in an hour. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go over here, make sure this person is cool and find out their scoop. Did you know this and this? No, I just started dating them. I'm like, well, make sure you know that. So I have a friend who asks a lot of questions. I think that's important to make sure that you ask a lot of questions, but also listen. Here's something really cool to share with you. When I was on with my medium friend, my mother sometimes has these amazing nuggets that she'll say through my medium friend. And she said to me about communication, never speak louder than the person who needs to be heard. I'll say that again. Never speak louder than the person who needs to be heard. Trying to remember to not interrupt and to not talk your story over someone else's story if that's the venue you're at. And let that person vent and let that person share, because that's where that connection happens. Yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah, it's that space. What's ironic is you coach Brent Robertson, as you mentioned, and his is all about listening.
I know.
And his experience with his mom.
I know.
I'm sure you two created a lot of space for you two to bounce around these ideas and and allowed each other to really hear what's so special about that their story. The stories are somewhat similar in the
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. And I think it's important to also hear people, because I could just listen to people and then say, that's a good way to start your story. And you're like, but it happened later on. I'm like, doesn't always have to be chronological. You can start with this moment, or you build up to a mic drop moment. And, there's different ways to story tell, right? And, practice on your friends, practice in the mirror, watch your tone, you can also use the level of your voice. You can use your hands. I'm Italian and I can't stop using my hands. You use your body language, you step forward, you lean, you gesture. There's a lot of different ways you can use it. Use the power of the pause. I'm huge on that, the power of the pause. Even though it doesn't seem like I use it a lot, it's very important for people to use that so that whatever you say can soak in. Like a TED Talk, it's important to they can go, I think they're like 14 to 18 minutes is where they kind of the sweet spot. And sometimes when you just go for that long talking, it just seems like you're droning on and on, but if you pause, multiple things can happen in this pause, right? It's this beautiful thing where you stop talking. And if someone whose mind went somewhere else for a minute, they'll go, hold on, there's no more noise coming from that person. Maybe I should look up, or maybe I should refocus and pay attention, or wait, maybe I need to, did I hear that right? I want to hear that again in my, there's all sorts of cool things that can happen in that moment. And I think that's, like I said, that's where some of the magic happens, is the pause.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well said. Now, TEDx, that experience has to be pretty incredible too. Just the prep. I hear it's a lot of work. Yeah, is it a lot of fun too?
Yeah, I started actually volunteering for TEDx in San Diego. So I was on the TEDx San Diego team. And I started just literally went up to these people. I'm like, I want to help. I want to do something. I want to volunteer. I don't care. And so the first year, I think I was escorting people from downstairs to stage right when they were getting ready to go on. But then the second year, I was the voice of Goddess, ladies and gentlemen. So that, and then I did, then I went into speaker coaching out there. And then I came here and I just jumped in and kind of attacked Lee and Laura, who are in charge of TEDx Hartford, and said, I did this in San Diego. Do you have any space? Do you need me? I would love to do anything. I'd love to volunteer and get back involved. So, and that was 2019. So I think 2020, jumped in the COVID situation. But yeah, it was really, it's really cool. It's a really cool experience. It's all year, you work on it all year for us talk in December.
Well, you do good work, because Brent Robertson, the listening talk, you guys are quite the team, and what a good team you are. We won't go there. The generative listening platform that he has now, I don't know if you know this, it's one of the top programs on Visage worldwide. He's being asked to come into so many Visage committee meetings just to talk about how do we listen better and differently, especially as leaders. It's phenomenal, the work he's doing. So you're a part of that. So I just got to say, you got to feel good about it though. Yeah.
Thank you. Brent is very talented on his own, but I know he's traveling all over doing this. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you talked about music. Do you have favorite songs? Do you have favorite groups? And I'm just curious why. What shows up for you?
That's a good question. Where did it start? Sometimes I reference that Mom used to sing harmony in the car on long trips. Her favorite musician back in the day, like my parents listened to the Carpenters and gosh, who else? The Righteous Brothers. And my mom really loved Chuck Mangione, which is just that horn. I don't know, singing with her and listening to her sing. And I was a drummer in high school. Marching band with the big Q-tip hat. So that, I don't know, I just love it. And I love it now even more than ever. And I go on a rock and roll cruise every year, and I go to different festivals, and I see as much music as I possibly can. And I just love it.
Does it bring you to a different state of mind? What does music do?
It sounds like everything else. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just in the moment. And you're in the moment with all these people who also love the music and who are also just kind of moving to it and are feeling it. And it's a great escape, but it's also a great connector. There's a number of times I've cried listening to music and get the chills, and I just love it.
I love it too. I also recognize there are moments where I've listened to songs over and over again, and depending on where I'm at in life, there's different meaning, different emotions, different connections back to my parents or other memories I've had. And I love your story with your parents, really singing through the songs together. So I always hold those and cherish those moments.
Yeah. I like the lyricists, right? I like people who are writing really good songs.
Well, Kristen, is there anything else you'd want to share with the audience today? I know we've shared quite a bit about your story and your impact and your purpose and what you're up to these days. Is there anything else that's showing up that's on top of your mind that you want to share?
Oh, I've had some friends and family going through some stuff lately. So I just say, try to be there for your people. And I think that's where you find your purpose, is being there and being a good friend or being a good supporter, because again, it kind of goes back to talking about dementia. These are heavy. A lot of us have heavy stuff. People have heavy stuff that they're going through. Just be with them. You don't have to go through it alone. Reach out and just make sure that you can lean on people. Make sure you have your village around you when something happens. And yeah, we were talking about this before. Enjoy every moment. Try to revel in those positive, beautiful moments that you see and encounter, because life is tough. So just really try to be there for each other. And I just so appreciate you, Darren, having me on, because this is a really nice, open conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you and everything you're doing, all that you're doing for families that are going through, and recognize what you've gone through, and you're sharing it. So hopefully it's easier for the next family to understand and recognize, and to really make it a process that people can cherish for the rest of their lives while we're here together. So I'm really admire everything you're doing. Appreciate your guidance over time, and I look forward to continuing our friendship.
All right. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
That's all for today's episode. If you liked the show, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Live Your Possible dares to unlock your fullest potential and become an avenue for others to do the same. Join the community by visiting ignitehappy.com. It's time to discover endless possibilities with equal opportunity for all. See you again next week for more insights on how you can live your possible.